What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about signs that you are a Canadian. I think this will be very, very helpful for me in case I ever find myself needing to identify a Canadian in the wild. It's kind of like when an American goes on vacation to another country and we're kind of like start being really loud or ask for five extra sugars in my coffee, please, and extra cream. And suddenly everyone in the area turns their head and it's like, American, I spotted American, and we kind of go, huh? And then scurry off. We scurry off to our next tourist destination. Yes, you know that whole scenario happens all the time. But I'm actually quite excited for this discussion here, this Reddit discussion, because it's not just going to be some list of boring, overdone Canadian stereotypes, I think, but rather this is a question that is being answered by Canadians. Canadians are going to tell me some signs that you're a Canadian, which I think will actually be very funny and insightful, lighthearted, maybe even some truth, some education to this, some utility in case I ever need to spot a Canadian. Oh, found you. So I'm actually quite excited to see what some of the answers to this were. So starting with, what are some signs that you are Canadian? Please help me complete this list. 1. You hear HOMO, homo, and you realize you forgot to buy milk? I've never heard homo or HOMO if it's an acronym, and milk really in the same sentence or connected, I should say. If I Google this, well, what is even gonna come up if I Google this? Okay, homo and milk. Let's do homo milk. I never thought I'd be Googling that, but here we are. Homo milk. Wait, is this actually a thing in Canada? What does homo milk mean? Yes, please. People have asked this before, apparently. I'm not the only one. Homogenized milk, meaning shaken up so the fat solids combine with the liquid. It's short for homogenized. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know the word homogenized. We don't have homo milk written on our cartons or HOMO or anything like that. Okay, that actually wasn't sure where that one was going, but that makes a lot of sense. I don't necessarily think of milk when I see that word, but I might now. I might from now till the end of time. Okay. Number 2, -8 Celsius isn't cold. -20 Celsius is cold. -8 Celsius is what Fahrenheit? Come on. I need American units here, please. 17. 17? I didn't even know 17 was a number on the temperature scale. What does that mean -20 is? Hold up. -20 Celsius to Fahrenheit. No, not 20. Negative. -4? Okay. See, when Fahrenheit gets to the negatives, it's like not even real. I can't even picture that. That's not even real. -8 isn't cold. Okay, so freezing your butt off isn't cold. Freezing your whole butt and backside and legs and toes off is cold, because I imagine that's what happens at -20 Celsius. That's outrageous. Very Canadian, though. I mean, that's I often find myself wondering, how cold does Canada actually get? Because, you know, a lot of Americans think Canadians are genuinely living in igloos, like in Ottawa or something, you know? Or even in places that are really south. So my kind of perspective on what temperature Canada is at all times of the year, plus it's in Celsius, not Fahrenheit, is kind of skewed. So this scares me. -4 Fahrenheit. No. That's not real. I didn't read that. No. You can say, want to go skating without having to add the word ice. Yeah. That actually, I've seen enough about like hockey and stuff explained to me in regards to Canada that I noticed that skating or even hockey doesn't have the word ice in front of it. Whereas in America, you specify ice hockey, ice skating. If you said skating, that would I mean, in the United States, that would more often than not mean rollerblading or skating on wheels or something. And you've never heard anyone say a boot, except foreigners, when they joke about Canadians. Exactly. Oh my goodness. That's a big one I had to learn. It actually kind of made me sad at first, because that is like, for Americans, one of the de facto Canadian identifiers, which that's actually really nice that it's in this discussion of what are some signs that you're Canadian. Not that you say a boot. That is not a warning sign. Warning, the Canadian, warning, Canadian in the vicinity. And that is not a sign of a Canadian. Because most Canadians do not say a boot, have never said the boot. Well, it might, I still contend that there's like a boat, but not a boot. No boots in here, except kind of rarely in some places, basically. Never heard anyone say a boot except foreigners when they joke about Canadians. True, very true. I used to be one of those. I get pissed when certain American podcasters attempt Canadian accents, and they sound like people from North Dakota and Minnesota. Seriously, North Dakota and Minnesota. That's kind of the, oh, hey there, buddy. Oh, how you doing? I was just about to go to, to Minnesota. Minnesota even sounds, you can't help but say it like that when you say it. Okay. Very true. Americans have no right to poke fun at our accents while they continue to pronounce roof like roof. Roof. Ah, yes, there are some places that say roof. I know some people who say rough. I have heard that before. I've always said roof, but Americans definitely will say rough from time to time. That's all right. You got us. 10 degrees in August is freezing. 10 degrees in April is t-shirt weather. What does that mean? What's 10 degrees? I gotta do a lot of translating here. 10 degrees, 50 degrees. 50 is, it's a little chilly in America. I would say most people would consider 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, a bit chilly, but it's not like 40 degrees where you need your jacket or hoodie on. 50, I mean, you're not having a t-shirt out in 50. Except maybe in Canada you are, especially apparently in April in Canada. Wait, 10 degrees in August is freezing. I agree, 50. And then 50 degrees or 10 degrees Celsius in April is t-shirt weather. Oh, somehow it just changes. Okay, I think I understand kind of the joke here. Or maybe it's not a joke. This is a phenomenon. In Ontario, it's 4 seasons all one day during those months. This isn't a joke. Huh, it just depends on the time of year. Because in April, it's like supposed to be warmer. And August is like, okay, it's okay if it's cold. So it's t-shirt weather by default in April, just out of principle, maybe. It's my understanding there are 7 seasons in Newfoundland, sometimes on the same day. Yeah, okay. Talking about the weather really is a thing, and not a generic greeting. Huh. I wouldn't call it a greeting in the United States. I mean, talking about the weather in the United States is considered cliché small talk. Like, you literally have nothing to say if you're asking or commenting about the weather. It's almost like an inside joke talking about the weather. But in Canada, is talking about the weather like real? It's not just to say something for the sake of saying something. It's real. Okay, that's actually good to know. I can fall back on, I've made a habit of not bringing up the weather because it's kind of like saying you don't know what to say. But in Canada, talk about the weather all day? No problem. Perfect. I hope this person isn't lying to me. Please. A friend who came from Jamaica talked about how when she heard Canadians like to talk about the weather, she thought that was weird. I mean, it's not like... it's not normal, but it's not weird. To say it's weird. That's weird, to think talking about the weather's weird. No, you're weird. Where she was, the weather was mostly always the same. Oh, is that what it is? In Canada, talking about the weather is interesting because it's like a lot more variance. So, but in Jamaica, it's not. So it'd be strange to talk about the weather. Okay. Okay, the weather's very changeable in Canada. Impacts what you wear in your daily life. Yeah, yeah, okay. That actually makes sense. I'm glad that that was kind of described like that. That actually makes sense. You step on my foot, and I apologize for being in the way. Oh gosh. That's kind of a Canadian stereotype that has a lot of truth to it, it seems like. Although I have heard, like, if someone steps on your foot and you apologize, like, that's almost a way of pointing out to the person that they should apologize, or it might just be sort of a social norm that both apologize and it's an act of mutual respect. In America, there is no apologizing when you are wronged. That's outrageous. No. But seriously, if someone stepped on my foot and I was me, which I am, I would not apologize. I don't know what I'd do. It'd depend on if they smashed my foot into the dirt with a steel-toed boot and flattened my toes into dust, or if they kind of bumped my foot. Assuming it was just a casual stepping on the foot, I'd be like, oh, or something like, I'd probably say, oops, or so, but, I'm not the meanest American in town. I'm sure some Americans, if someone I saw got their foot stepped on and they were like, hey, or something like that, I wouldn't even think that was out of line. I wouldn't even be like, hey, that person's crazy. I'd be like, okay, they're annoyed that their foot was stepped on. But I always say with Americans, it's not that we're all rude and mean. There's just a larger variety of acceptable responses. If someone steps on your foot as an American in America, you can be angry, and that you can be a little annoyed. You can be like, hey, or or watch it. And that'd be a little rude, but it wouldn't be crazy. Honestly, it wouldn't blow my mind. And if you're in a major city or something, like New York City, then you might get your foot stepped on as a response. No, I don't think it'd quite go that far, but I think they'd be pretty ticked, actually. Not have some nice words for you. Definitely not apologize back to you. That is for sure. You walk into a glass door and apologize to the door. Okay. All right. Now we're just getting jokes out here. Jokes. You use measuring units in the Canadian way? Measuring units in the Canadian way. What does that mean exactly? Canada, man, I tried to watch a video on this to explain to me Canadian units of measurement, and I found out Canada uses both empirical measurement, like Americans, and metric measurement for some things. And that did not help me at all, aside the fact that now I'm aware of that. There's both kinds of measurements, but I can never remember how Canadians measure what. Speed in kilometers and temperature in Celsius. I would not know what you measure foods in, like grams or cups or gallons or liters or what. Just thinking about it, man. How far away is Punky Doodle's corner? It's about 40 minutes away. Okay. Calling things like 40 minutes away. People in America do that all the time. Because we generally think it takes about a minute to go a mile. If you're going 60 miles an hour, especially, which is kind of common. So we definitely say, instead of something's 10 miles away, you might say, yeah, it's about 10 minutes away. Yeah. So Canadians do that too. I don't know why people think this is a Canada-only thing. Yeah. So the mix of kilometers and miles, Celsius, Fahrenheit, is Canadian. Saying something is 10 minutes away is common sense. Yeah, it is definitely true that that's an American thing as well. That's for sure. Heritage minutes were more effective teaching history than school was. What are heritage minutes? For example, I feel like I've seen heritage minutes mentioned on YouTube. I might have to look into that at some point. For example, Canadians know who Dr. Penfield is by a TV commercial of him operating on a brain and the iconic line, burnt toast? What does the brain have to do with burnt toast or heritage minutes? Let me look that up. Heritage minutes? Canada? What is this? It's a documentary. 1991. Each 60-second short film depicts a significant person, event, or story in Canadian history? Wait a minute, what is this? This actually seems extremely useful. Wait a minute. Starting in 1991, the Heritage Minutes have been shown on television and cinemas online and are a recognizable part of Canadian culture. Oh my gosh, there's 98 episodes here. Wow! That's fantastic. Wait, that's actually great. I'm going to have to react to some of those or something. That's great. Okay. This has been very useful to me. Heritage Minutes. And Canadians enjoy watching them, learning about them, and they are better than school history, apparently. Wow. I made my partner watch them when he was getting ready for his citizenship test. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's cool. I don't think there's any real equivalent to in America, like American heritage informative videos set that I could point to. That's really cool that Canada did that, actually. What is this? Oh, it was deleted. What is this? We went to a restaurant, asked for the bathroom. Very common vernacular. They were confused on what we meant. Canadians don't say bathroom. What do they say? Bathroom. Oops. For Canadians? Is that going to work? Bathroom? What do Canadians call bathroom? Oh, yes. What is it? What is it? Come on. Someone! Someone! Washroom? Why do Canadians call restrooms washrooms? Washrooms! I think that's right. Canadians call bathrooms washrooms. Or restroom? In America, you might say restroom if you're being a bit formal. But 99 times out of 100, you'd say bathroom. Excuse me, where's the bathroom? But in Canada, that is washroom? That's very proper. I suppose you are doing some washing, and you're not doing much bathing. Yet we call it the bathroom. I mean, that's as far as our American brains went on that one. Bathroom. It's a little more aggressive, too. Where's the bathroom? Where is it? You know, we kind of like saying it like that. That's funny. When you base half of your beliefs on not being in the U.S., what exactly does that mean? When you base your beliefs on not being in the U.S. I know Canadians do not like being lumped in with the United States when people around the world are talking about stuff, which obviously makes complete sense. We're two completely separate nations. Half our personality to the world is we sound American but aren't. Okay, is it stuff like that where it's like a lot of annoying effort into being like, we're not America, we're Canada, that kind of thing? I get it. As I posted below, a huge amount of the Canadian identity seems to be that we are not American. It's made worse when we trash talk the US systems. Huh, interesting. A huge amount of Canadian identity seems that we're not American. Well, I don't know how true that is, but it is weird to hear stuff like that from my point of view, because Americans definitely don't have that problem where we're lumped in with something else. But if we were, that'd be extraordinarily annoying and disrespectful. So I actually get it. And I feel like there's a lot of systems and policies in Canada that are done a lot better than in the United States, like healthcare and education, that it actually isn't even a fair comparison to lump in the two nations together. Canada is actually exceeding America in certain attributes, which deserves some recognition. So that can be frustrating, I imagine. So, okay, that's a good point. Negative 20 isn't cold. Oh, here we go again. Negative 20. Negative 45 is cold. What kind of Canadian are you? Oh my. So they were responding to the original person who asked the original question. Negative 18 isn't cold. Negative 8 isn't cold. Negative 20 is cold. And they're saying, what is cold to them? Negative 45 is actually cold. Like, okay, I'll do it. What is it? Negative 45. Negative 49. Somehow Fahrenheit goes past Celsius when you get cold enough. Negative 49, I would instantly freeze and explode. And that's all there is to it. I'm not even going to think about negative 49 Fahrenheit. Oh my gosh. Respect to Canadians, even if it goes to negative 8 Celsius. Respect. Negative 20. Negative 40. Goodness gracious. Okay. But besides that thought, this was very, very, very enjoyable. Signs that you are Canadian. These were very interesting, actually. I loved that it was Canadians chiming in, talking about some of the things that they identify with as Canadians and that many Canadians identify with. That was really, really fun. And it wasn't just a bunch of boring, stereotypical Canadian things. It was actually a lot of interesting stuff. So I'm going to be able to spot Canadians from a mile away now. A mile away, so watch out. But I enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture and stuff about Canada I've never learned before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.